Welcome to Together We Rise.
Starring mother-daughter dynamic duo Alicia Schwartz
and Rochelle Schwartz
in collaboration with MAPS Global Events. Signing off.
It's live.
It's
We're live.
live time. Yay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome.
Wednesday evening on this beautiful day. We're so happy to be here.
And I am Coach Rochelle.
I'm Coach Alicia Schwartz.
And we are Mother-Daughter Dynamic Duo. No, that's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
That's what happens. We're in sync because we're with each other.
Yeah,
we work with each other.
That's
true.
What
happens when you're
And how many
connected.
mothers and daughters do you know work together? They probably don't.
I don't think so.
I'm
sure there are, but
I don't know. But in any event, we're so happy for you and us to be here this evening. We have a fabulous lady that's going to come on in just a few minutes. I'm going to have Nim play our intro
video, and then we'll come back and we'll read a beautiful excerpt from Debbie Ford's book.
Okay, Nim, take it away.
Nim, play the intro video. Thank you.
Looking through the pages of our lives as we start out on this journey. Everywhere we look, a different sign, telling us where we will go. Feel the sunlight shining in your eyes, and the wind that's blowing through me.
Oh, God. Every time this song plays, it just touches my heart, and I know it touches your heart as well.
And that's Jessie Campo. You can find her on Instagram. She's always singing her heart out.
Yeah, she's quite a lady.
She's special. So thank you, Jessie, for doing the composing of that intro.
Yes. And we also want to thank our sponsor, International Wellness Alliance. And that's a beautiful lady, and her name is Elaine Sugar, and she is the CEO and founder.
We love you, Elaine.
So,
all right.
I'm going to read
my mom's
something.
going to read a nice little, what is this? It's called the, is that what's
yeah,
it's called the shift.
And certainly we can always.
And this is from Debbie Ford's book, Your Holiness. Okay.
And it's short and sweet. Dear God, open me up so that I may know you. Show me your sweetness in the smiles I see. Open me up to the love that you are, while you awaken me to the love that I am. Isn't that delicious?
Breathe that in, everybody.
Really,
it's beautiful.
Just a beautiful little thing to set the tone.
Yes. So we want to welcome this beautiful soul. All right, Kelly, come on up.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that quote was amazing. I was almost shed a tear.
No, it's a great book.
It is. It's a really beautiful book. And I always like to take something just to set the tone. And so I know that, each time it just does. So I'm glad that you validated it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a message that I needed to hear today. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So why don't you just tell a little bit about you, who you are, and what you're up to in the world, and then we'll ask you some yummy, lummy questions.
This lady's up to some really big stuff.
We know you're up to a lot.
Oh, yes.
For sure.
First of all, you're like dynamic duo for real. Like for the moment I think we met, I'm like, like a soul connection. I feel like I've known you ladies forever. So I just want to thank you because just your, just even your like energetic footprint, right? When we first spoke initially, it's like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I know you forever. And I think it's the work, right? That
Yes,
for sure.
Yes,
you've been teaching and embodying. So I love that. So yeah, in a nutshell, I actually came from Wall Street and corporate, burnt out, landed in the hospital, had a lot of my trauma coming through. And then I started to do work on myself. And that's when I started coaching and diving into really understanding myself and what was going on. And I left corporate because I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to start my own coaching and speaking business. And just throughout that journey, I really dove deep, like the patterns, the limiting beliefs, the traumas, like this, or like I'm still on a journey. And so so now I help women, I like to say, shatter their own glass ceilings. So whether that's in wealth, whether that's limiting beliefs, and I really help them build their businesses right from the inside out, and really just get to know who they are, right, and love themselves like unconditionally. I think that's the path that I've been on, like the good enough, the conversations, the even if someone doesn't buy from you or doesn't buy your product or service, like, oh, what does that mean about me? Like all that, right?
Yep. We understand.
Oh yeah, we're all mirrors. We're all mirrors of one another.
It's the Earth School.
Really are.
We're in the Earth School.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you a question. Are you finished with that? Because I just
yeah. Let's dive in. Yeah.
So what does it mean, shattering your own glass ceiling? Explain that.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as, if you think of like an onion, right? They always say this in the personal development. It's shattering the glass ceiling, but there's like layers to it. So even if you shatter one ceiling, say maybe you expanded your wealth capacity, like, oh, now I can actually welcome in maybe $1,000 or $100,000. And then you get to that level and it's like, oh wait, but there's more. there's actually more.
Surprise.
Yeah,
exactly.
And you ladies are like experts on love, right? And it's like even with love, like welcoming in love, love even deeper, right? So to me, shattering your own glass ceilings is anything that you're working on, whether that's in business or in life, and just seeing, okay, there's another level. And so when we get to that level, it's just a constant evolution and just seeing yourself like within that, like what comes up for you. A lot of times it's the money and the confidence in my clients. So it's like, okay, like what's going on beneath the glass, right? And so that's how I like to define it. I know it's not like a typical definition, but there's always another layer, and you're always going to be shedding what no longer serves.
Yeah, that is very true.
Boy, and you, I think, just coach women? Or no?
I coach women, but no, I would say 30% of my clients are men. So I do coach men as well. Yeah.
And do men have is it just really all about business and money, or do you dive into relationship a lot?
Yeah, I dive into relationship, and I always preface them. I'm like, I am not a relationship coach. Take it with a grain of salt. So I always warn them. But it's sometimes the relationships come up. Sometimes also like the fulfillment and the happiness. Like I'm not happy. I've been working all my life, or I'm not seeing my family. So more of those issues. And actually, a lot of men that I've been recently coaching, I say in the past 2 years, they have actually admitted to they're like, I think I have imposter syndrome. So I was like, really? So it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to hear like, oh, you think that comes up for women, but no, like more and more in my world anyway, they're saying like, I think I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, oh,
can you explain what imposter syndrome? I can't even say it sometimes, I swear.
Yeah.
Explain what that means, because everyone can hear the term, but they might not really know
what
term.
it is.
Yeah, I like to think of it as it's just like like not confident in yourself, right? It's like you've achieved all these accolades and you have all these things, but it's like, wait, can I really do it? It's that belief of the self-belief of like, am I really worthy? Can I do it? Am I going to screw up? We all have it. And so, and that's when you're shattering your own glass ceilings and going above those limitations. Of course, you're going to feel that because it's a new level.
Right.
So it's more common than people think. And I like to say the only way to get over it is to go through it, right? To like actually experience it.
Oh,
Actually
yeah.
go through it and feel it. Yeah.
But it's interesting that men they must get some sort of a safety net to be able, because their egos are big. So there has to be a safety net for them to open up to you and share that part of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting because, and I really acknowledge them because a lot of men don't go, right? They don't feel safe to go there, or they don't feel, and so it does take a minute to like, really shatter their own ego and go there. So, and I think, we put men, I don't want to be stereotypical, but like some people in buckets, right? Of being like, oh, I have to be, it's kind of like when they say, oh, boys don't cry, right? Or, so it's like the conditioning that happens. And then it's like, but no, actually it's okay to feel. It's actually okay to express. And when they open up, it's like whoosh.
Beautiful.
Right?
Isn't it beautiful? It's like that's
It's so
the way
beautiful.
a man would be so amazing in their vulnerability, when they're in
And
that
they become
place.
more attractive as
well. They're sexier.
Yeah.
Right?
They really, really are. And so you have women as well, obviously. Are they all corporate, or is it various businesses?
No, it's mostly entrepreneurs, and I would say less executives, but a lot of the executives are now coming out of corporate, and they're they have their consulting business on the side, or they want to start something. So that's really who I'm targeting. But I do coach executives as well, just pure executives.
Yeah, I'm sure since you were in that world, you
understood
it.
Oh, I can do it with my eyes closed. I'm like, I got you. Yeah,
I'm sure you could. So I want to ask you this question because it's really powerful, especially, it's always good to hear this from other people. But what's the biggest lesson you learned about yourself? Right where you are today. What is the biggest lesson you learned about yourself?
I'm still learning it how to do it. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm worthy. And so that rears even its own little head. Sometimes we're like, oh yeah, I'm enough. I know, like that's of course, like that's a non-negotiable. Like, but then there's some situations where I'm like, am I enough? Like if we really get to the layers of it, like that's what, like the questioning. I always like to say in coaching, it's like the 7-layer dip. You keep asking why. And it's like, oh my gosh, it always tends to like, am I good enough? And am I worthy? So for me anyway, so it's like, oh, that's the reoccurring theme.
Yeah. And it is, I think not only you, but I think the world has that theme, and they might not even be aware of it. But the more you learn about yourself, the more you see those limiting beliefs and what stops you, and how you're always working on it. It might be another insecurity and something else will pop up and you're like, oh, there it is again. There's my not good enough self. There's my unworthy self.
And here you are.
And, you could play with it, right? I mean, you could make light of it, right? Oh, here I am again, and just kind of dance with it, if you will, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure you see that in your world too, right? Like that's the...
Yes, common theme.
Very much so. Yes. And I think the more that you work on yourself, when those things do occur, it doesn't like have that grab on you.
It doesn't sting.
It doesn't sting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've made peace with that's a part of you. It's always going to be a part of you. And you could kind of visit it, if you will, right? Oh, here it is again.
Right.
Hi, you not good enough self. How are you today? Oh, you know what? We'll return later. I'll visit you later, but I need my good enough self right now.
Yeah. When I was really going through it, I went through like a big breakup, and I was crying every day. I just didn't even know how I got through that whole year. It was like a whole year. And I did mirror work, standing in front of the mirror naked, doing like all of it. And I'm like, wow, this is, hitting pillows with bats, screaming in pillows.
Oh yeah.
And it's like,
yes, we've done that one.
And it really, but I love what you said. It's going through that, right? Because so many years I was suppressing so much of the feelings and the, and no, I got to look a certain way. I'm going to be a certain way. And especially in corporate, right?
I
Like,
was just gonna say,
Yeah,
especially corporate, right?
yeah.
You're supposed to look a certain way, women,
Yeah. And act a certain way and people please and manage up and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. What were you going to say, Rochelle?
No, I just think that the more work you do on yourself and heal, even though it never leaves, but it becomes very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like sometimes it's like a test to see, did you get it yet?
It's true. And then we create the people, right?
Yes. Oh God.
To
Yes.
like show us that if we really did, right? If they show you a part of yourself, you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. I could see that. I could be with that. It's not affecting you anymore. You're
Right.
not, it's just like, oh, okay, you're not good enough either. Great. Let's join the party. Let's have a not good enough party. Or let's have a good enough, let's have a worthy party, right? You could go either way.
And people like it when you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
They relate to you more.
Because I don't know anyone on this planet that hasn't felt not good enough.
Yeah. Oh God.
I don't know anyone,
Yeah.
right, that hasn't felt unworthy.
Yeah.
It's because they hide and deny and don't want to, right?
Well, yeah. And some people, I mean, right? Like it's to look at it, to really be like, oh, wow. Or I don't want to look at it because I'll deal with the comfortable of staying the same.
Correct.
And so it's like when you bring it up, it's like, well, yeah, it's uncomfortable and it's not. And it's like to really look at it. But I forget that phrase. It's like when you bring the darkness into the light, like the shit, like the shame.
You see the gifts. Right. And you see the gifts and the shame goes away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, like I was even there's some parts of me now I'm like, oh, I know. It's like over here, like that's the work still. Like there's always another layer, right? I'm like, oh my God. And sometimes I'm like, okay, are we done with the work? Like
I know.
You know what it
no.
is? I think that the more you look at it from the light aspect through the dark, right? If it keeps popping up, I really feel like it doesn't have the same charge anymore. Yeah. And you don't have that feeling like, is this ever going to end? Because it's just another part of you.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's just how you play with it.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like you could dance with it, like dancing with your shadow, right?
Right. That's
I mean,
right.
it doesn't have to be so painful.
Yeah.
But sometimes it does, right? Sometimes it's the most painful thing. But then when you go through the pain, the light comes, you see the gift of that part of you and you're free.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I have two questions.
I thought one.
I do, but I have figuring out which one. If you were going to give someone the best advice in life, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Boy, is that.
Yeah. How many of us have been in the other seat where they haven't trusted themselves, right?
Yeah.
But when they don't trust themselves and they do it, that's another lesson for 100%. Them to learn.
But trusting yourself is so huge, and it's in every area.
Every area.
It is. Every area.
It's like you meet someone and you're like, no.
Or what about a client? Did you ever have a client that you just don't gel with?
Yep. Yeah. When you took them on.
And you took them on.
Right. Yeah. Like,
why? Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes it was the money. Sometimes I'm like, I can quote unquote, there's no fixing, right? But I can work with it.
I can help this one. Right.
Yep, it's so true.
And sometimes it's just not they're not
coachable.
Yeah.
And that's really what it is. But that's another lesson.
Always.
Intuitively, you really get to know who the client really is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of interesting, but what part of your life did you find most difficult to make peace with and why? And maybe this is an ongoing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're always ongoing.
I would say, I think it's currently, right? It's the achiever in me because it served me so well. And it's like I've been in my masculine for so long, right? Like the Wall Street, the corporate, the climbing the ladder, the even like I remember like dance recitals, always having to be like winning the dance recitals and like all of that, right? Like all of that and that's actually how I burnt out. That's how I landed in the hospital. I was working so hard and I was getting recognized so well by all these like top executives at major fashion brands and retail brands. And I was like, oh, I'm going to keep feeding in it. You're like, oh, is this love? Like, this is the recognition and love that I've like actually craved. So it's me, and still today I find it, I'm still like, oh, I got to get I gotta check this off the list. Cause I have a vision, I have goals and all that.
Sure.
And it's like, Ellie, like sit back in your feminine and like receiving. I would say that goes hand in hand with receiving. Cause it's like, doing. It's like, can we just like be and receive? And even like when people give a compliment, like I've gotten so much better when they're like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good," or "Oh my," I'm like, "Thank you." I don't deny
it. Right.
So and I see that a lot in my clients too, especially women, like the ability to receive. And I'm still working on that. Yeah.
Here, I mean, it's true. Someone gave me a compliment this morning. I was doing bike riding and I was with a friend and she goes, God, you look so pretty. That's such a pretty color you're wearing. And I'm like, really? I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. Like I had to think because I was going to be like, oh no, it's just a pair of shorts. And, I was like going there and I'm like, well, she's giving you a compliment, Alicia. So thank you, so even you forget, to receive it.
But I think as you keep doing the work, I don't know. I have no problem with that.
No, she
doesn't. At this time, I have no problem.
Mm-mm.
And I also do, and I say I receive that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
So it's a good practice to get into. Yeah, I receive that.
That is.
And most people go, really?
You even consciously say that to yourself?
Right.
When did you have the, like, when did it flip, or do you think it was gradual, would you say?
Oh, I think it was gradual.
Yeah.
I think it was gradual for all the work, all the years of really, unconditional love. And, and I still, you still keep on going and you go, why did you say that? It was about you. No, you can't do that. You have to love yourself.
Yeah. And I need to do that. And I always think it does go back to the light of who you are. Like if you really knew, like you were standing in front of the mirror and you really knew that you were, the light of the world, how would you walk in life? How would you move? Right? Every day, if you woke up and thinking and looked and said, I'm the light of the world. Yeah. Like how amazing would you be every day? Right?
Yeah. I always like to compare that to like my 4-year-old niece or when we have birthdays, right? Like when you feel like every birthday, I'm like, and it's like, why am I not like that every day? Like, why am I every day? Like it is my birthday. It's just like getting into that. But when I see my 4-year-old niece, like she just plays, she's like, I am love, right? She's just like, I don't care.
I think it's because of responsibilities. I think we have so much that we get responsible for, and it has nothing to, it's our choice. If we choose that, it's the overwhelmed thing, right? Yeah. That's my feeling. I think that if you stop more and you give yourself permission to feel and be present with somebody or something, I think then you feel that light, you feel that love because you're actually giving it to yourself. Yeah. I don't think we're conscious enough every day right? That's my feeling.
I do. And I think your niece, coming from where she's coming from, I would imagine she gets fed some very positive things. Yeah. I never did. Got the other way. We went the wrong way.
The direction was backwards.
But she has to be getting fed very positive things. Yeah. So when she really owns it, not even realizing it. Yeah. That's the gift.
And you're making a good point because the people we're around, the energy that we're around, right? The people that we choose to be in. Now she's young. So she's happy no matter, like, right? You remember when you were that young, you're like, woo, everything's fabulous. But like you said, she's getting fed those positive, beautiful things.
She is.
Look at the way you speak about her, right? Yeah. Speak about her is so beautiful.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. It's environment too, right? We talk about this all the time, especially like, I mean, I don't watch the news anymore because it really affects me.
It's horrible.
But that's like people, it's environment.
That is environment.
Yeah.
It's the programming, right? It's
Yeah.
what you're saying. It's even the internet. You know,
Oh,
it's like you gotta. I like watching movies. That's how I get out of that reality. I just like watching love movies. Anything with love movies.
Yeah.
Like it could be Hallmark. There's a new movie coming on. I can't wait to see it on Amazon Prime with Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
And this young guy. And
That
it comes on tomorrow. I'm psyched to go see. I can't wait. I'm like chomping at the bit just to.
She's an older woman with a younger man.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Yeah. It's called The Idea of You.
Okay.
The idea, is it? Yeah, the idea of you.
So in your day to de-stress, what's your routine? What do you do to de-stress yourself?
Yeah.
And to stay positive, right? To stay light and happy.
Yeah. You know, I literally brainwashed myself. I mean, we're talking about environment, like same thing, like, you know, a movie or podcast or YouTube. Like it's the choice of what am I putting in my ears? What am I putting in front of my eyes? I also like go outside for walks, you know, nature.
Yes. Love that.
And I live right outside of New York City, so I'm right on the water. So it's a little crazy, but it doesn't matter if you're in nature, like nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just you both said it, being in the present moment. So whatever that is, you know, breath work or just taking 3 deep breaths in the middle of the day, or driving somewhere, or journaling. You know, it's just whatever I find peace. Sometimes just moving my body too, you know. So dancing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Music. Love music.
Music, dancing.
Music is so healing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so if God could speak to you,
oh God,
what's the message he wants you to know today?
Take a breath.
Yeah,
take a breath on that. I'll ask you again. You can, if God could speak to you today, what's the message he wants you to know?
Everything's going to be okay, and everything that you desire is here already. Like I truly, and it's going back to the achieving side of me. Like, oh, I got to get this done in a certain amount of time. And because again, I don't know if I told you, but my grandmom had recently passed away. Well, she passed away in November, and it's like, you get when grief and death comes, like, oh my gosh, like life is short.
Yeah.
It's like, there's this period of like, part of me is like, Kelly, go all in, right? And it's like, oh my gosh, I don't even know when my last day is. But then it's like, okay, yes, and can we like take a moment, because everything that's right, like we are creating in every moment, but it's like, yes, life is short. However, it's like, can we also enjoy it in the moment? So that's where, you know, because I have been like, again, I've been the achievement part of me still creeps its head up. And even now with like my grandma being away, and like, wow, life is really precious. But like, I really want to create so much before I go, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's the message. And when you said the quote, like, open up, and like, I was like, oh my gosh, God is speaking to me right now.
It's so true. It's like, but you know, I always think like, we don't know. Nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. Yeah. But even these conversations like we're having right now are so like beautiful, because we're speaking the same language. We're helping people out there listening that maybe they're having a day like, and we're bringing light to them by this conversation, you know, and that's really what we're all here, I believe, to contribute, you know, and, you know, what we're saying is so powerful.
You know, what came to me just now, for you to leave corporate, you had to get sick. Am I correct?
Yes, she said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's some lesson.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's even more of a lesson. I was coaching women on self-love at the time.
Oh,
I was like, oh, really? You really
want to go there? Okay.
Right.
Let's see how loving you are to yourself.
It's so true.
Yeah. It's true. It's so true. And
you know,
go ahead. No, you go.
We have a program called Healing Your Heart. And it really is for everybody, but for someone who's divorced,
or going through a separation.
How many women do you know will carry the same burden about that ex-person, and that
Forever.
ex-person is
Forever.
just having the
They're having
they have their own life, they're living,
That's it.
and you're holding on to
like 20
this.
years, 30 years of like
Yeah.
the same story
Yep.
about the same person.
Yeah.
So what happened to me was I was really struggling in that, why is it that I'm not getting the clients that are getting divorced? And a light bulb went off. I was not in my integrity.
This was a while
Yeah,
ago.
a long time
Let's
ago.
just preface this.
Yes, because I wasn't divorced, and I'm talking about divorce. and I'm thinking, oh my God, that was like a light bulb moment for me. It must be at least 12, 15 years ago.
For sure.
It was like, boom.
Wow.
And it pushed me to getting divorced because I wanted to help other women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is like if you're not in your
Your integrity,
integrity and you're speaking into it and you're not creating it, then you got to look, why am I not? Like you said.
Yeah.
And you realize you're out of
Or
integrity.
like you said, if things aren't moving.
Correct.
Like yeah.
Correct. What's not moving? Even in a relationship.
Yeah.
You want to create a relationship with a man, whatever, a partner, whatever you want to do, and you're just not creating it. What's going on?
Well, and I love now, like if you go on social media, right, all of the, and this goes for everything, right, the filters and all that, but all the, even relationships, you know, everyone posts the highlight reel of like, you know, on vacation and this. And like, wait, you don't fight at all? Like, I'm seeing this like really like cloud nine, every block, every photo, every post is like,
and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. That's why we like, you know.
Sounds good.
I mean, could people that
higher.
see that probably say, what the hell is wrong with me?
Right.
Look at them. They're having a great life.
Yeah.
What am I doing? That unless you have more of yourself to know that's what they're putting out there, to me, is what they want you to see.
Yeah.
But you know what? Underneath that, there is a lot of stuff. A lot.
And I just always say, and I've, you know, we've coached many people and not even coached many people in our own life, is that when you're really happy in your own life, like you feel really good and you don't want for nothing, things just occur. They just happen. And it doesn't only mean relationship, right? You can have a relationship with an animal that gives you that kind of love that you're looking for, or a niece, or, you know, going with a friend for, you know, a massage or something. You know what I mean? It can come in different forms.
Definitely does.
I think we just get attached to what it should look like.
And boy, it's not
and
what
it's
we
so
think.
not. I mean, it's so not.
It isn't.
Happens
It really,
not
really
in my
isn't.
life.
No, it isn't.
So
when you left corporate to do this, did you have a lot of feedback from people saying you're crazy? Why are you leaving? I imagine.
Yeah.
How are you going to
was even like, am I crazy?
Wait, did they say that? How are you going to make the same kind of money? What are you, nuts?
Yeah, absolutely. And because, you know, I was making some good money. I was pretty high. I had clothing allowance. I was travel, like every, you know, it was like a Devil's Wear Prada, you know, kind of not total situation, but you know, I had some perks. Like it was a nice setup. So yeah, even at times I'm like, what am I crazy?
I'm sure I'm doing this.
Yeah. But no, absolutely. People were like, what are you, crazy? Like, is that really going to work? And what, like, why are you doing that? And yeah. So, and then I was like questioning it too. I was like, you know, am I really? But then it just got to a point where I'm like, you know, I just remember because all my friends were like full-time entrepreneurs. I was like kind of the last one to take the leap. And I just got to a point where I'm like, if I asked this, I remember it so clearly. It was like a tipping point. And for years, I was like, when am I going to leave? I was so scared. Yeah. And I was like, if I am in the same place 1 year from now, I will poke my eyes out. Like I cannot. And that was my tipping point. I'm like, I cannot do this. Like, so the pain was greater than the fear, or the fear was greater. And so I was just like, I'm just doing this and we're just going to see. Because the thing is like, I always thought, well, I can always go back, you know, and what's the worst that could happen? You know, that's what I was thinking.
Yep. And I think that's the best way, because what is the worst thing? You go
Right.
back, you don't, right? I mean,
exactly.
but the fear could paralyze you,
Yep.
but you chose to jump. So
Well, after years, right? But if people are listening or watching to this, it's like you may be sitting with that decision or that, and I would say just give yourself grace, because for years I would beat myself up, and I would go to networking events, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Do I say I'm in?" Like I didn't like. I was like, "What do I am?" No, I'm going to lead with the entrepreneur thing, and so it was like there. I did carry a lot of like judgment on myself and shame, and why am I not there yet, and all of that, and I just like had to surrender and be like, I'm going to get quote unquote there, right? There's no such, but it's like embodying that. And now it's like, I'm so grateful because I look back and I'm like, oh, well, guess what? Like I can pitch corporate now because I was on the other side. Like there's so many options that it was like, oh, I didn't want to beat. I was so ready to get out of it. But it's like, no, actually, like now I look back and I'm like, it's always like that, right? And now I look back and thank God I was in it for so long, because now I know what's going on, you know?
Exactly. True. So I have one
last
powerful question for you for the evening, and that is, what's the one thing you want people to know about Kelly Lynn Adams?
These are such good questions.
They are. They really are. They definitely are. We agree.
What do I want people to know about me?
The one thing that you want people to know about you. What comes through?
You know, I always lead with love. Like that's I always go like from the core, like leading from love, and not to know about me, but like for them too, right? Like if you lead with love, it'll always work out.
That is very perfect ending. Perfect ending.
So true. It is.
Because when we met you, it felt really, like you said, we felt like we really knew you, because the truth is we're one. We really are. Yeah. And so we're very grateful you came tonight.
Oh, God, yay.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you for having me. This was amazing. Such good questions that made me stop and think for a second. I'm like, oh, what would God say? I'm like, I don't know.
Well, we appreciate you, and
oh my God,
Nim put everything underneath where everyone can find you.
Yeah.
So
and it'll go on your social media,
and it'll go
right
on your
now.
social media. Yeah. So anyone that wants to connect with Kelly, her information is on the bottom there. You can reach out and grab her.
Grab her and love her up.
That's right. So thank you, Kelly, from the bottom of our hearts. We're so grateful to know you.
Thank you. This is an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Mwah. Bye, everyone. See you soon. Nim.